Hello fellow cyborgs, and welcome to my Nonfiction November TBR and all of the nonfiction that I currently have on my physical TBR shelves. So I did not do my research and remember the 4 prompts that are happening for Nonfiction November. I'm pretty sure that the books that I read will probably fit into them one way or another, but I mean the fact of the matter is these are the nonfiction books that I'm going to be reading this month, so there you go. So this is Anthony Trollope by Victoria Glendinning. This is a biography and it's quite long. I'm planning on reading 20 pages a day and reading this throughout the entire month. Wish me luck, because this has been on my TBR since the beginning of this year, and I would really like for it not to stay for a whole year on my physical TBR, especially since it is kind of intimidating. So I'm looking forward to learning more about Anthony Trollope and hope that I find a delightful human underneath his fairly delightful prose. I also have Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs. So this is one of the few existing slave narratives written by a woman. I've heard great things about this from Hannah's Books here on BookTube and also from one of my friends in real life. I bought this earlier in the year and then just hadn't gotten to it yet. It's this very petite paperback, so hopefully this will be a fairly quick read. I don't know how easy of a read it will be, but we'll just have to find out. I also picked up Passed On African-American Mourning Stories by Carla F.C. Holloway. This is a memorial, but this also, I think this might be part memoir, but this also goes into the funerary history and practices of Black communities and how racism in America and how they were treated informed those practices. I'm really looking forward to reading about this because it intersects 2 things that I'm really interested in: deathy reads and death positive reads, and then also reading more about the Black experience. Another deathy read is Silent Cities, New York: Hidden Histories of the Region's Cemeteries by Jessica Ferry. From what I can tell, this is Jessica Ferry going around to different New York cemeteries and telling the stories that she finds within them. I could be wrong, but that's what I feel like this is all about, and it's also filled with pictures, so we'll see if I can get to this month. And then I have Bookmarks Reading in Black and White, also by Carla F.C. Holloway. This is a true memoir, and I think that this is specifically about her reading and what she read being a Black woman growing up in America, and a little bit talking about race and literature. I'm not quite sure what I'll find in here, but I'm really looking forward, again, hearing this intersection between learning more about the Black experience and then also hearing about reading. I picked this book up for Victober, but then realized that didn't really count. So this is Letters to Children from Beatrix Potter, collected and introduced by Judy Taylor. So these are specifically the not only facsimile letters that Beatrix Potter wrote to her child fans who wrote her regarding her books, but then also transcriptions of the letters as well, I guess, if you can't read the facsimiles. So this is definitely a heftier book than I thought it would be, and the reason why I didn't read it for Victober, not only was it because I really wasn't doing much reading for Victober, it turns out, but also because her first book, Peter Rabbit, was published in 1901, and then all of her other stories were published in the early 1900s, which is definitely not Victorian. But we'll see if I get to this month. It might be fun to read a couple letters a day. I'll have to think about that. I'm normally not super successful at reading just little bits of a story every day, but we'll have to see. This is definitely furthering my journey of appreciating Beatrix Potter. So I do have one more book on my physical TBR that is nonfiction, but I won't be getting to it in Nonfiction November, but I thought I might as well show it to you anyway, just so that you know it's there, and that's The 12 Birds of Christmas by Stephen Moss. So from what I can tell, this goes into 12 birds that I guess specifically in English culture is related to Christmas in somehow, and I'm not 100% sure if it's talking specifically about the nature nonfiction side, like what these birds are like, how they breed, etc., or specifically about how humans have interpreted this bird, or a mix of both. So we'll have to see, but I'm definitely going to save this for December. And then I may or may not be buddy reading this beast, which is How to Be a Victorian, A Dawn to Dusk Guide to Victorian Life by Ruth Goodman. This comes highly recommended, highly read on BookTube, but I just never got to it, but Emma Anders has a copy. I might be feeling in the nonfiction buddy read mood for Nonfiction November, so this will be the only other physical book that I may or may not read in November. There are quite a number of audiobooks that I'm planning on reading in November, but what they are and how many will certainly depend upon my mood, so I will update you on those at the end of the month. So those are all of the nonfictions that I've managed to acquire this year, pretty much. I don't think any of them really are from previous years. No, they're all from this year. That's the cat complaining that the door is closed. Please let me know in the comments down below the one nonfiction that you are most eager to read this month, and one nonfiction that you highly recommend. I would love to know any of your recommendations. Thank you for watching, and until next time, read some nonfiction and continue to be lovely.